Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. This week we're for the Dadcast. We're bringing it back. Like, probably going to talk and ramble for a long time on this one, but we're talking about class action lawsuits against the video game industry. Particularly these ones I've seen popping up on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter about a class action lawsuit about gaming addiction. And it's not for like you or me, us older folks who play video games, but children's gaming addictions. And the parents can sign up to join these class action lawsuits for massive payouts. It's very silly to me. First and foremost, a class action lawsuit promising massive payouts. If you know anything about actual class action lawsuits, you get a pittance if you're a part of the plaintiffs. The lawyers make all the money. So naturally, they want more and more people joining those class action lawsuits to strengthen their cases so they get money, not necessarily people who are affected by it. I know in the past, I don't recall ever signing up for one, but I did receive checks from Starbucks and Monster Energy drink. Not Monster, I'm sorry. Red Bull energy drink. And those checks were for like $5 and $6. Like I said, I don't even remember signing up for these class action lawsuits. It might have been like an email I got and it was like, whatever, kind of thing like that. Or maybe they sent me a letter or something like that. But yeah, like I remember looking into those afterwards, and the payouts were massive in the tens of millions of dollars. And each plaintiff got $6 and $5. So those of you who see these and think this is going to be your payday, it's not going to be your payday. It won't even buy you a value meal at McDonald's these days. The payout from these class action lawsuits, which is probably what I did when I got those checks in the mail. I probably just went to McDonald's and got myself a value meal or something like that. But no, in all seriousness, click that like and subscribe button real quick for me if you wouldn't mind. Oh, I got you with that one. You didn't see that one coming. But no, seriously though, click the like and subscribe button. But seriously, with these class action lawsuits now, I've been playing video games since the 80s, since I was a wee lad. I played my dad's ColecoVision and then got my own Nintendo, I want to say Christmas of 1989. Could have been 88. When you're a kid, time seems way longer than what it is. And also, dates blend into each other when you try to remember that far back. But yeah, 88, 89, when I was like 4 or 5, when I got my first Nintendo, got Mario Duck Hunt, obviously with it, and my Aunt Becky got me Q*bert, and I was like, when I got Q*bert, I was like, what the hell is Q*bert? Don't sleep on Q*bert. Q*bert's a fun game. I remember I repurchased Q*bert on the PlayStation Network a few Black Fridays ago, I think for like $1, and it's a fun, like, just pick up and play puzzle platformer, I guess is the best way to describe Q*bert. But this is not the Q*bert Dadcast. That is a video. We're going to celebrate our 500th subscription with a Q*bert video. But no, as someone who has played video games for 4 decades now, and I'm not going to speak for everybody when I say I'm not addicted to video games. Yes, I play them, but I play them as a form of entertainment. And I do know some people have addictive personalities, like people have gambling addictions, people have alcohol addictions, people have smoking addictions, porn addictions. There are plenty of addictions out there that cause people to be, addicted. They're sugar addictions. Like Bowie loves his sugar, but that's also kind of a toddler thing. He always wants candy. He always wants just the sweet things. And we're like, go eat some carrots or an apple, boy. So kids can be addicted to things. But here's my biggest problem with this class action lawsuit claiming video games are addictive. And I'll get to there's several of them, by the way. There's 2 different ones that I've seen on Facebook and Instagram, and then I just did a quick Google search before recording to read one of the claims by the plaintiffs. The plaintiffs, more like lawyers who are just looking for an easy buck, and they think this is the 90s where we can persecute video games without repercussions. But here's my biggest problem with this lawsuit as far as video games being addictive. If you are a parent, and I'm a parent, I have a teenager, I have a toddler, you have all the control in this relationship. If you find your child is playing way too many video games, take the system away. Like, just take it away, unplug it, put it in your closet, lock it in your safe like my buddy Mike's mom used to do to him whenever he got in trouble, which also backfired on me once because he was borrowing my Dreamcast and he pissed her off and she took away all of his systems, including my Dreamcast, and it got locked away in the gun safe. And I didn't get my system back for 2 weeks because of his dumbass. But you can, as a parent, you can take them away. Like, there is no law saying you can't take your child's system because odds are you bought that system, so it's your property. They're under 18, so they can't legally own things in your house, your system. You can take it away from them and say, hey, you're playing this way too much. I'm going to limit it. So snatch. Or your grades are falling. I'm taking this away. Snatch. You can do that. My biggest problem with all these things for parents is the personal accountability of the parent. It seems like my generation and the generation right below me, I'm like a Zennial, I'm Gen X, Millennial, I'm right at that border. But like the millennial parents and I don't know if Gen Z, no. Yeah, Gen Z. I don't know if they have kids yet, are old enough yet to do these things, because I don't know where the cutoff is. But it's like the younger millennial parents, for whatever reason, and I'm not speaking for everybody. I'm just saying just observations of what I've seen on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, just people complaining. They want to gentle parent, which is fine. I've never been a parent who believes in spanking or hitting your kids. But they also want someone else to parent. Like if the kid's doing bad in school, doing bad in sports, or just a bad kid, they blame the teachers, they blame the schools, they blame the coaches, they blame everyone but the person who spends the most time with the kid, and that's the parent. Generally speaking, if your kid is doing bad things and forming bad habits, they're learning it from you, the parent. Yes, teachers, coaches, friends, they do have influence over your children, but you spend the most time with your child, and any kind of bad habit they generally pick up from you as a parent. And it takes a lot of self-reflection as a parent to really like look inside and see, what am I doing wrong? I can give you a personal story of something I did wrong as a parent. I'm a big Redskin Commanders fan, and they've been terrible for 30 years almost. I remember watching a Dallas Redskin game. I was watching in my basement. Sean was 2 or 3 years old. He was a real little kid. And I remember this game vividly. Like, they had Tony Romo sacked in the backfield. He was done. He was going down. We were going to win the game. And for whatever reason, the defender who had him let him go, and Romo escaped and threw the game-winning touchdown pass. It pissed me off. I didn't yell and scream or anything like that, but I stewed. I was really angry. And then maybe like 20 minutes later, Sean's hanging out in the basement, and he, just being a toddler, waddling around, bumped into something and knocked over a glass, something like that, and I snapped at him. Like, I was still stewing from the game, and I snapped at this little toddler for doing something innocent. And in that moment, like, I literally stopped, like, right after I was like, Sean, like, just very angry at him. And I stopped, and I was like, what the hell am I doing? I am still pissed off about this football game, which I shouldn't be mad at because it's a football game. And I snapped at my toddler for bumping into a table and spilling a drink. I was like, what's going on here? And I made a conscious effort there. And just for the record, I'm not an angry person. I'm very temperamental. It's just one of those rare things. But I made it a point there. From that moment on, let's say 15 years ago, that when I'm watching one of my favorite sports teams play and they lose, I'm just like, damn. Switch the channel, turn the TV off, go do something else. Or if they're losing, like if they're getting blown out, which the Commanders did a lot in the last 20 plus years, turn the game off. Go do something else. So it's just kind of one of those things. It's like, as a parent, sometimes you got to look at your own flaws, and we all have them, and just think, I am setting a bad example, and I need to change. And I made a huge change right there. And Sean sometimes, and with him being a teenager, I've helped set him straight. Like, he used to get in his own sports, not just like watching sports, but in his own games, he would stew and get mad if our team lost. Like if he had a bad play in a game or something that mattered, he'd stew and be angry. And I told him, like, dude, you just got to let it go, dude. It's happened. It's done. It's over. Nothing's going to change it. And let's go. And it's been a positive outlook on him. So I know that wasn't about video games. It was about sports. But it does come into this thing with gaming addiction for kids. And I'm not saying some kids aren't addicted to video games. Like, video games are fun. They're kind of made, like any kind of entertainment is made to be addicting to a point, because game makers want you to buy the game, they want you to play the game, and when that same game maker makes another game, they want you to buy that game too. And if the game's not fun and somewhat addicting, you're not going to come back and buy more of that game. It's the way entertainment is. It's the same with movies and television. They want you, I don't think it's a nefarious, like cigarette companies want you to be addicted to their products, but they do with all this competition for entertainment. And as humans, we seek out entertainment. As they want their product to be the most addicting, the one that keeps pulling you back. That's why with a lot of these modern dramas that we only get 8 to 10 episodes a season, they always end on a cliffhanger, because they know we need that answer at the end of that episode. So we're coming back next week to watch it, or if it's the Netflix model, we're just watching the second episode right afterwards, or the third episode or fourth episode, something like that. So they are made to be addictive to a point, because they're supposed to be fun and enjoyable and playing. And we have these neurons in our brains when we're doing something enjoyable, pleasurable, we want to do it more. So there is an aspect of video games that's addicting, especially ones that have, for lack of a better term, a grinding mechanic that you got to keep playing to earn things. And like Fortnite does it pretty well with their season passes, and they're named in a couple of these lawsuits. But again, when it comes to video game addiction, if your child is spending every waking hour playing video games when they're not at like school or church or any kind of family function, then your kid does have a problem. But here's the thing. As a parent, you should have recognized that problem before it became a huge problem and set boundaries to begin with. Now that Sean's a teenager, I don't really give him video game boundaries. I think he's smart and intelligent enough to know when he needs to go to bed, when he needs to do his homework and those things. He's 16, going to be 17 soon. I treat him a bit of an autonomous adult. I let him make his own decisions. I mean, I'm still there to parent, but at the same time, I respect him enough to let him make his own decisions. And with that respect and the boundaries I set when he was younger, he knows he needs to get his homework done. He needs to study for tests. He needs to go to the gym and work out for sports. He needs to work in time for practice. He's got a job. Safe to say he's not addicted to video games. Like last night, he went and played NCAA. I think for the first time, he picked up a controller in like 2 or 3 weeks. And I mean, if you're a fan of this channel, you've seen him up here playing video games with me several times. We've done some live streams together. He hasn't had time to do that, nor necessarily a want, because video games are not a priority to him. He's got his job, he's got his sports, he's got his school, he's got his girlfriend, he's got priorities. And I think that's a boundary as a parent you need to set with your children when they're young, because when Sean was little, there were no video games in his room. The video games were in my man cave. And if he wanted to play them, he had to ask permission to play them. And I was like, sure, buddy, you get 30 minutes, you get an hour, whatever. Like, depends on the time of year, summer break. Also, if it's school night, weekend, friends over, or if it's just us, or if I want to play too, because they are mine. I want my own turn. So it is one of those things that he had limits when he was a kid, and giving him those limits and those boundaries when he was much smaller has translated to, as an adult, he knows that video games are a fun outlet. They're a fun thing to do when you have the time to do them. But there are other priorities in life than video games. And I'm going to take a lot of credit for that as a parent, like showing him that, because I'm the same way with games. I'll link it at the end of the video. Maybe I'll do a card here. I don't do cards that often. But my video about how old is too old to play video games, I talked about that, and a lot of the comments, you guys talked about it too. Hey, we're older now. We still love video games, but we have to prioritize. We have to do first and foremost, work. But we have to work and earn our money. We have our family time, and then sometimes we just have decompressing time where we don't even want to play video games, where it's just kind of like we've got to work out. Those of us getting older, we got to hit the gym, man. We got to stay in shape. We got to be that first generation that cracks 115, like Rob Lowe and Parks and Rec was talking about. So we have priorities as we get older, and I'm not saying there aren't adults addicted to video games. I'm sure there are. I'm sure MMOs probably cause the most addiction, because there's definitely that FOMO in a lot of MMOs online. But yeah, things that you learned as a kid about prioritizing like entertainment and, your priorities that you have to take care of. You got to take care of your family, you got to take care of your job, things like that. And me, I've got an added priority. I coach high school sports. So, I got to do that in the afternoon after work. So it's kind of like I get up, work out, work, go coach, family time. And then after everyone's gone to bed, I stay up an extra couple hours so that I can play some video games and enjoy myself and part of my entertainment. So, I mean, that's kind of also aspects that were set by my parents when I was a kid, too. Even though my Nintendo was in my room, there was still like, hey, lights out at 9 o'clock. Don't even bother playing video games there. You get home from school, you do your homework. But also being my age, we were outside a lot, too. We played sports outside with our friends, stuff like that. Video games for me growing up, even though I did enjoy them quite a bit, were like for rainy days, nighttime when I couldn't go outside and play, things like that. It's like, generally speaking, if it was daylight, I was outside playing football, basketball, X-Men, playing action figures with my friends, stuff like that. And to credit to Sean, he was very much the same way. Like a lot of the times, like during the summer and nice weather, I didn't have to tell him to go outside. He went outside with his friends. So I do think there's an accountability of parents if your child is playing too much video games. If they're playing too many video games, they're probably not addicted to it. They just enjoy it. It's fun to them. Just like reading's fun to some people, going outside playing sports is fun to some people, playing with action figures is fun to some kids. It's their form of enjoyment. So they might not be addicted. Don't jump to that first, but start setting some boundaries if they're playing too many games. But let me read this. This is from King Law. I'll do a screen grab and I will post the picture in the video. But King Law, RobertKingLawFirm.com, video game addiction. Video game addiction lawsuit, January 2025 update. This was last updated on January 16th. As of recording is January 26th. So it's 10 days after the lawsuit. Video game addiction lawsuit. Parents and young people are filing lawsuits against video game companies alleging, good word there, many video games are addictive and result in conditions like internet gaming disorder, ISD, I've never heard that, depression, and other mental health issues in adolescents and young people. I'm going to stop right there. If a child is getting depression from playing video games, again, games are meant to be fun. Even the dark and scary ones, they're meant to elicit an adrenaline rush, which is fun for some people. If your child is getting depression from playing video games, it's deeper than video games. You should definitely have them talking to some sort of counselor right there. Like, again, that's being a good parent. That is noticing something is up with your child's mental state. With Sean being a teenager, I am constantly checking in with him, making sure he's okay. Because, those of us who are parents of teenagers, they get moody because of all the hormones and stuff like that. So when he's extra moody, I make it a point to spend extra time talking to him and chatting with him. And doing things with him just to make sure, because like he'll say he's fine, but I want to make sure he's fine. And generally speaking, if you speak to your teenager for a good 30 minutes after you've asked them if they're fine, you can really kind of zoom in and narrow that they are fine or not. And so far, so good. Like Sean's fine, kind of thing like that. But yeah, if your child is depressed over video games, again, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not a counselor, but if they're depressed over something that's supposed to be fun, it's probably deeper than just that, and you should definitely have them speaking to some sort of professional. Like, you should talk to them first, but then maybe have them talk to their school counselor as a first step, and then, after that, maybe take them to see some sort of specialist just so they can discuss these problems, because depression is no joke. I've seen too many news articles about young people committing suicide because they were depressed over a variety of different things, not just like bullying, but they're just overly depressed about their looks, their weight, many, many different things. So if kids are showing signs of depression, especially over video games, it's going to be something deeper than that. And as a parent, you should definitely speak to them and speak to, some sort of professional. Don't try to sweep that under the rug. Don't just like, oh no, they'll be better. Definitely get some counseling and help for them. So going back to their opening statement, these lawsuits accuse companies like Microsoft, Activision, Blizzard. Is that the full company name now? I thought it was just Microsoft, then Activision Blizzard, even though owned by Microsoft. No, digressing. And Epic Games of not properly disclosing the potential dangerous side effects of their video games. So that's one of those things. You're playing a video game. It's a form of an entertainment. there are rating systems on the video games to say, hey, this is for kids, this is for everyone, this is for 17 and up, this is for adults only. So, and as far as something that's entertainment, like there are warnings on video games if there's a ton of flashing lights, like disclosing, hey, if you are prone to seizures, maybe don't play this game, kind of thing like that. And also, I know Nintendo's really good about it with their systems, like, hey, shouldn't you go do something else right now if you've been playing for a while? But as far as side effects go, like saying like depression or internet gaming disorder, which I feel is a made up word, or a made up thing, I should say, because all words are made up, and mental health issues. That's something that I don't think any video game maker can. You can't say that. Like, everyone's different. And I'll play devil's advocate for a second. Let's say video game playing does cause these things. Like, it's probably such a small, minute population that you can't even measure it, kind of thing. So what are video games going to do? Like, post a warning label, say this could cause addiction? Because there's no proof in that. You would have to prove, like, with science, that it causes addiction. Like, we can prove that with alcohol, we can prove that with sugar, we can prove that with nicotine. You can't really prove that with a form of entertainment, because anything that makes us happy, like emotionally happy, not any kind of drug we're putting into ourselves, it does shoot an adrenaline rush. So you can't measure that you watching a YouTube video or playing a video game actually is addicting, because you're not ingesting anything. You're not taking anything into your body. You're just happy and excited. And whenever we're happy and excited, we want more of that. Like hanging out with a puppy. Who doesn't want to? Are we going to start suing the animal shelters because we're hanging out with too many puppies? So it's kind of like you can be addicted to things that are not, that are not drugs, and things that you don't ingest into your own body. You can have an addiction to that, but that's not an addiction you can necessarily measure, because what makes people happy is very subjective. And just as a species, and you can even look at it with dogs and cats, something that makes them happy, whether it's playing fetch or chasing after a laser pointer or something like that, they're going to want to do more of that. That's just instinct for just animals and people and things. So this is really posting a straw man argument. All right. And then instead, these lawsuits allege companies designed their games to be increasingly addictive, harming many young people who played the games. Individuals who have experienced addiction and depression as a result of playing video games say they were not properly warned about the dangerous side effects by these game manufacturers. In many cases, the addictions led to mental, physical, and emotional harm. Again, these kind of things, mental, physical, especially physical harm, and emotional harm, that's an underlining thing. If playing a video game causes you to do any of these things, it's deeper than the video games. And as a parent, you should definitely be talking to your kid. Maybe have them talk to a professional, because video games aren't causing these things. Like these video games might bring them out of them because of their emotional state. Because I will say, as a kid, if I was fighting a particularly difficult boss, I'm looking at you, M. Bison, I would get frustrated and angry. I wouldn't lash out at other people, but it would make me frustrated, would make me angry, because it was tough. And, when you're a kid and you deal with tough things because you don't have experience on how to control your emotions, you can get pissed off when you're dealing with something difficult. It's frustrating. You don't know how to deal with frustration. You don't know how to calm yourself down, like, someone who's older and an adult and experienced many frustrations knows how to do that. So again, these kind of things that they're alleging in this lawsuit are, I feel, a deeper issue with the mental state of the person playing the video games, and something that the parent should have recognized sooner, or at least maybe not recognized sooner. I'm not going to lay that blame, because maybe the kid hid it well, or you just didn't notice it. But if they're lashing out violently or having mental health issues due to a video game, it's more than likely not the video game. It's a deeper issue and a deeper trauma, and they definitely should speak to somebody. So again, this is just kind of lawyer speak, trying to get people to join this lawsuit to strengthen their case so they get paid out. Because again, class action lawsuits, the actual people harmed by the companies, if there is actual harm, rarely ever get paid. Like, they get pittance. And the more people who are in a class action lawsuit, the less money you actually get, and the more money the lawyer gets because the more they can charge. Just so heads up. So the front page continues. Researchers explored how children and young people can develop video game addictions that adversely impact a victim's lives. The authors noted that the reward system, social opportunities, and other reinforcing factors make video games especially appealing to young people and children and encourage compulsive play. The researchers reaffirm that gaming addictions can change how someone's brain works, just like drugs, alcohol, gambling disorder can. These dangerous effects are why many parents and young people are filing lawsuits against game developers. Again, this thing just feels like it's grabbing at straws here. Like, why many people, like, it's telling you a lot of people are suing, so therefore you should join their lawsuit so you can sue too, and you can get a piece of that pie because other people are getting that piece of that pie. You should get a piece of that pie. Let me see. Develop video game addiction. There's a link there. The National Library of Medicine. Yeah, that's a nice little title for this thing. As a library, NLM provides access. This is a link that they posted about their researchers. Symptoms of video game treatments and of video game addictions. Bunch of names I can't pronounce. So this is something I will dive deeper into. I will read this research and see if it's been peer reviewed and things like that, because that is the problem a lot today. People will talk about studies and things like that, but it will just be one study. It won't be peer reviewed. This happens a lot in fitness. For one thing, people will definitely screen grab this website so I can come back to it, because I might do a deeper dive. There might be a part 2 to this, because I really hate people blaming video games for other people's problems. Shoot, I lost my train of thought there. But let's continue, since I lost my train of thought. Let's continue here. December 26, 2024, mom files video game lawsuit on behalf of her child who is addicted to video games. A mother in California filed a lawsuit against 2 video game producers, Roblox and Epic Games. Let's see if it actually lists the name. Oh, I got to open. Let's see. I got to open a PDF. Okay, so. All right, it is an actual court case. I just want to double check that since it was vague. In the lawsuit filed state court, the mother alleges that her 12-year-old child is addicted to video games and has experienced a number of negative mental health impacts due to this addiction. This is something I might follow up on also, because considering it was filed in December 26th, obviously it hasn't been resolved yet. And I highly doubt Roblox and Epic Games, with all their money, is going to settle this. Like, this is something that they would probably, fight, because once you start settling these kind of cases, it opens a precedent, and you don't want to do that, because then other people can come sue you for their addictions. So I would imagine Epics and Roblox are going to fight this kind of thing. And again, I'll look it over, and I'll follow up, and I'll do a follow-up video on this to see when that happens. Her 12-year-old child is addicted to video games and has experienced a number of negative mental health impacts due to their addictions, including severe emotional distress, dismissal of social interactions, lack of interest in other hobbies, and withdrawal symptoms such as rage, anger, and physical outbursts. Again, the rage, anger, and physical outbursts is a deeper thing than video games. There is a trauma there with that child of why they have rage issues, and that needs to be explored more by the parent and a professional to figure out the root of the cause, because it ain't just video games that are going to make them have rage and anger outbursts. Lack of interest in other hobbies and a dismissive social interaction. Well, again, that falls on the parent right there. If your child is playing so many video games that they're not going out to play with other children, they're not doing anything else, that's a parent issue. That is where the parent needs to step in and take away the games. And again, if this child really likes the video games and they have emotional outbursts, they're going to be angry about it. They're going to get mad at you. But also, as a parent, you need to be the parent and the adult and stand your ground. Like, yeah, you're pissed off, but too bad. I've got, like, you all have seen in these videos, I have a toddler. When I take away a toy, or we tell him it's bedtime or anything, he gets mad because, again, he's a toddler. He doesn't understand. He's like, why are you taking away this thing I like from me? Why are you telling me I have to go to bed? Because, Bowie's got severe FOMO when it comes to going to bed. He's had that since he was an infant. He gets it from me. I am a night owl. I don't like to sleep. I'm one of those people. I feel like the hours I'm sleeping, I could be doing something productive. I could be working out. I could be writing more. I could be producing videos. I'm one of those people. But Bowie, I think he definitely gets it from me because even as an infant, he'd be like dozing off and he'd pop his head up. Was like, nope, nope, nope. I'm not missing anything. But, he's a toddler. He does not understand why we're telling him he can't play with this toy anymore. He needs to do something else, or why we're going someplace, or why it's bedtime. He doesn't understand these things because he's a toddler. And we have to deal with tantrums every once in a while, especially now that he's 4. And holy hell, I remember when Sean was 3, that was the worst for Sean. Like, no terrible twos for him. When he was 3, he was an asshole. Bowie was pretty chill up until like 3 and like 10 months. And then 2 months leading into his 4th birthday, became kind of an asshole. Not really. Like, I'm not calling my kids actual assholes. But, he's throwing more temper tantrums. He is exerting his will more. Like, hey, I'm an autonomous being from you. I don't have to do what you tell me to do, kind of thing like that. So as a parent, because kids at different stages in their life experience like that. Once you like knock down the toddler and, you get them to be, more agreeable and things like that. Once they start, and I noticed this with Sean, like as a little kid, like from 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way up to 12, super agreeable kid, generally listened, like would be mischievous. I would tell him no, he couldn't do or have something, and he would try to sneak a snack or sneak something and, do what I told him not to do, kind of thing like that. But good kid. Then when he hit the tweens, when he started to get 12, 13, 14 years old, he started like, hey, I'm a big man. I'm growing up. I can do what I want, kind of thing like that. And again, as a parent, you have to deal with this in a way that to teach them and to show them, hey, no, you are not the man of the house right now. I am. And you are not the parent. I am. Kind of thing like that. And just kind of like you have to navigate that. And it does create uncomfortable conversations with your child. You can, they'll get mad at you. You might get mad at them. They'll get frustrated at you. You'll definitely be frustrated with them. And, it's just something you have to deal with as a parent. There are those tough things where I don't know a single parent, and I have a ton of parental friends from all ages who don't want to give their kids the world. I mean, that's part of being a parent. You want to give your kids the world. I had to Bowie's got a ton of WWE figures, and most of them were his brother's figures when he was little, because I had a problem. I would walk, and this was I wasn't even collecting figures at the time. I would just I would hang out with friends who did collect figures, so I would be in toy stores and toy aisles with them when they were collecting. But also at the same time, if I was at Walmart, I would pop in the action figure aisle just to kind of see what was there, just because I used to collect when I was younger, and I would always like to see the newer things and just how much better looking they got, especially like the wrestling figures, because I was always about wrestling figures as a kid. And so I had a problem to where I would pop in the toy store or like Walmart or Target. I'd pop through the toy aisle. I'm like, oh, Sean doesn't have Chris Jericho. Let me grab him a Chris Jericho figure. Oh, he doesn't have Shawn Michaels. Let me give him the Shawn Michaels. And maybe not once a week, but every couple of weeks, I'd be buying him a new action figure for no reason other than as a kid, I wanted all these figures because my parents had 3 kids. I mean, at the time, Sean was an only child, so I could spend more money on him. I would want certain figures and things like that, and just there wasn't enough money because my parents, they had to keep the lights on, they had to pay the mortgage, they had 3 kids total to buy for. So, you just didn't get everything you wanted, kind of thing like that. So when I became a parent, especially with an only child at the time, I wanted to give him everything. I would say probably over half the toys he owned as a little kid, he didn't even ask for. I just got them for him because I wanted to provide him for everything. But, with that creates expectations of getting things and stuff like that. So then at some point I did have to cut back on buying him things and also be a parent and tell him no, even if it would create an uncomfortable situation, whether it be in public or at home. You still need to have the backbone as the parent and tell them no. And again, I say all that to where if your kid is playing too many video games, take them away. You are a parent, you are allowed to do that. You take their Xbox, their Switch, their PlayStation, their PC, whatever they're playing video games on, take it. Say, go outside and play. You know what? We're going to the park. We're going to the trampoline park. Maybe make it interactive with them. depending on their age. You know, you can take them to the trampoline park, you can take them to the basketball court, take them to the playground, take them to the pool, roller rink, ice skating rink, something. You know, make it interactive with them, because if they're not really socially interacting with other kids because they're playing too many video games, they might not have friends to go out and play with, which is something you can work on as well. But if you go and do these things with them, go do these physical activities with them, it will start to get them to do them more, because they'll have fun doing it. Like, especially as a parent, they'll have fun doing it with you. Like, we have a roller hockey rink right down the street from our house, which really funny side story. I used to play hockey when I was young, and I played it a little bit as an adult. Like, Sean and I would go out in our cul-de-sac at our old house with our skates and our sticks, and, you know, pass back and forth. We had one of those like tarp goalies set up across the net, and have a lot of fun playing hockey. But he never played it seriously, and I was years past playing it seriously. So when we were getting ready to move to Richmond, we sold all of our hockey stuff because he outgrew his stuff, and I was just like, I don't want to move all this stuff. I'm probably never going to play again, kind of thing like that. So, yeah. And then the house we find, like a half a block from our house, just I could rollerblade there. I could walk there. Has a full-on roller hockey rink with the plastic rink, goal set up, creases, everything. I'm like, really? So luckily, a friend of mine, he was gifted a pair of Bauer roller skates, and he gave them to me because he didn't need them. They were either too small or too big for him. So he's like, hey, you want these? I was like, sure. How much? He's like, free. I was like, sweet. So now I just got to get a stick. And unfortunately, none of the sports stores around me sell hockey sticks, except for one, which is a hockey store, and they're all like $200 sticks. I'm like, no, I just need one of those inexpensive $30 sticks. So I got to get a new stick to play. But yeah, something like that. Like, if you have a roller hockey rink around there, teach your kid to play hockey. You could learn how to play hockey too. You guys could learn together. You know, maybe sign them up for a sport. And I say this as someone who was on the board of directors for his little league for many, many years. Volunteer to coach. You don't have to be the head coach if you don't want to, but you can be an assistant coach. You can go help out there. So then you're out there interacting with your kid. You're, you know, doing physical things with them and things like that. Because if you want to break your child of playing too many video games, and I'm not calling it an addiction, if you want to break that habit of just coming home and playing video games and things like that, if you get out there with them and you play the sport with them, whether it's just going to go have a catch or you go to the basketball court, shoot some hoops, something, you know, easy and inexpensive to do. If you are out there playing these games with them, they are more likely going to want to do that more. Like, they'll come home from school and be like, hey, Dad, you want to go shoot some hoops in the backyard? And you're like, yeah, sure, let's do it. Or, hey, Dad, can we go to the playground? Dad, let's go fishing, you know? And for you moms, too, your kid will ask you to do those things. Sorry, I'm a dad, so I gravitate to saying, hey, Dad, let's do this. Because then I'm picturing my own kid coming up to me saying, Dad. But, yeah, moms, too. You can do the same thing. Moms, you can play basketball. You can Caitlin Clark it up there. Don't Angel Reese it, though. Make your shots. Be Caitlin Clark. But no, you can do that too as a parent. Just take your kid out to the park, do things with them. Because if you show them these physical activities that are fun, they'll want to do them more, and they'll go do them on their own. And the more you take them to public places to do these things, they might, you know, if they're old enough, might go on their own, and they'll meet new kids and say, hey, Mom, Dad, I just made these new friends playing basketball at the park today, or at the playground today. I made these new friends. We were playing freeze tag and something like that. So it's on you, the parent. Don't jump to these lawsuits because they're frivolous. Just like a lot of the persecution video games got back in the 90s about violence and how they cause violence, and that has proven beyond a shadow of a doubt. Many, many different studies have been done to show video games are actually an outlet for violence. And in fact, people who play video games are generally less violent because any kind of anger or anything they have deep down, when they go online and play video games, it's a calming thing. It calms them, and they get, and you know, it relaxes them, and they're no longer violent. So again, as a video game fan and advocate, I don't like seeing these frivolous lawsuits, these frivolous court cases, because it just carries the stigma that video games, one, are toys. They're not. They're entertainment. And two, that somehow they're nefarious when they're not. They're literally an outlet for people to enjoy themselves. There's nothing I like doing better than after a stressful day of either work or just sometimes being a stressful day as being a dad, because it wasn't stressful yesterday in a bad way, but Bowie he was just everywhere. Like, he was being happy and friendly and fun, but oh my God, the energy level of that kid yesterday, it was a lot. So, not like stress in a bad way, like, oh, the kid was being bad, I'm so mad, but a stress in a, holy shit, I've used up all my energy chasing around this little version of me, and now I'm dead tired and I can barely function. I want to pour a glass of whiskey and I want to play. What did I play? I played Madden, and what else did I play yesterday? I played Madden. Oh, and GoldenEye. I was hitting up some GoldenEye 64. So it was just it was an outlet for me. It was just, I'm relaxing now. I'm relaxed. I'm calm. And then I after calm down, like, from just the adrenaline. I shouldn't even say stress. I should say adrenaline. Calm down from all the adrenaline of chasing around a 4-year-old. I made a few videos. And either both these videos are going to come out before this, or this might be in between the two videos, because both videos are about to switch. So this might be the buffer, so you don't get too much Switch news from me at one time. But yeah, video games are entertainment. They're an outlet. They're like a movie. They're like a book. It's how we entertain ourselves. Because I can also say to the fact that my wife, before her and I met and started dating, she had a few boyfriends who were all about video games. They would play their MMOs. They would spend more time playing video games than they would spend with her, and she developed a hatred for video games because of that. And so when we first started dating and started living together and things like that, she was not big on me playing video games. And then I was trying to be the good boyfriend, and like, just like, okay, like this, I in my mind was like, she won't care later on, kind of thing like that. But when it was just kind of like, I could see that she just was not liking video games at all. I then, had to talk with her. I explained to her, like, how you like watching your reality TV, your dating shows, and you like reading your novels and things like that. And she's like, yeah, that's entertainment. That's how I want it. I was like, that's video games to me. Like, it's not something that I prioritize. It's something I do for fun. Because I explained to her some like stories, like the story of Alan Wake and Metal Gear Solid and some of these other like deep narrative games, and I kind of like showed her clips and things like that, and she kind of then started to understand, like, hey, my gaming habits are way different than maybe some of her past boyfriends, where I'm not like, oh, I have to be here for this raid, or I have to do this, I have to do that. It was, hey, I've had a long day at work and I want to do something that is entertaining for me, and I could watch a movie, I could watch a show, or I could play a game where I am interacting with said entertainment. And once I kind of explained that to her, she was like, oh, okay. And now she looks at it as my form of entertainment. She doesn't look at it as something that's in the way, kind of thing like that. So, I mean, that's what video games are. They're entertainment to those of us who play. Even kids who maybe aren't playing the deep single-player story-driven games. They might be playing Fortnite. They might be playing Minecraft, which Minecraft, I hate it when people talk bad about Minecraft. Minecraft is so creative, and some of the stuff like Sean, because Sean was big into Minecraft when he was little, and he even still plays it every once in a while today. Some of the lands and houses and castles and monuments and things he has created in Minecraft are so creative that, honestly, I think like maybe elementary schools might want to have some sort of form of Minecraft in their computer labs, if they still have computer labs. I don't know. I don't teach elementary school. Just for kids who have a creative outlet, because some of the things I've seen kids make, like I've seen some really cool stuff adults have made, but some things I've seen kids make is phenomenal in Minecraft. So there are definitely very good outlets to video games. And also video games help with hand-eye coordination. I mean, it helped that I was an athlete. I played football, I played baseball, I played first base, which really helped. But I can like catch things and grab things and do things with both hands without looking. Like, I'm constantly impressing my wife when shit's falling and I just, boom, grab it like that. Just reflex, like almost like Tobey Maguire from the first Spider-Man. I'm like, babe, I was like, it's from video games. It's because I'm so used to doing things with my hands without looking down at them, like knowing where buttons and joysticks and things are, triggers and mouse and keyboard, that I can do that without looking. That's why I can just see something on my periph and I have the depth. I can grab it. I can do those things. And I've done some of those super dad moves, like Bowie tripped and like almost fell down the steps, and I just boom reached out and grabbed him, kind of thing like that. I was like, babe, that's video games. Video games taught me that. If I didn't play video games, I'd have missed him, kind of thing. So there are a lot of positives to video games. And in fact, I believe a study was done in the early 2000s where a lot of neurosurgeons grew up playing video games, and they can do those precise cuts and stitches and things like that, sutures like that, because of the fine motor skills they learned from playing video games. So yes, video games can be a problem for some kids. I'm not going to say there are some kids out there who play too many video games, but I think a lot of that is sometimes parents have allowed video games to be a babysitter for their child. And instead of saying, hey, you should be going to do your homework right now, or hey, why don't you go outside and play with Timmy? Something like that. Though there's probably not too many Timmys. It's where Jackson spelled with an X. Or Dylan or Braden or Caden or Camden. I haven't seen too many Timmys. I coach a lot of sports, and I get a lot of Bradens, Cadens, Camdens, Jacksons, Jadens, Aidens, Landons. A lot of uns, a lot of N's and uns at the end of the names. I got Sean. I got more of an old school name for my kid. And then Bowie, which is the oldest of the old school. It's the star child himself. So yeah, so as a parent, if you find your kid playing too many video games, don't sue. Just don't sue. Like, only sue if you really need to sue somebody, because there's way too much litigation in this country anyways. But be a parent and say, hey, you're playing too many video games. Like, start first with saying, hey, you're playing too many video games. Why don't we go to the park? Why don't we go play basketball? Why don't we go do something together? And then if it escalates, then you're just like, well, I'm taking this from you now. You can have it back in 2 weeks. Figure out something else for entertainment. And I say 2 weeks because if they are actually addicted, 2 weeks is generally the way to break a habit kind of thing. So I told you this was going to be an actual podcast today, and I could probably talk on and on, but I will keep up on some of these lawsuits, and if anything like actually happens with them, I'll report back and talk about it. But I think this might be part one of a series where I kind of talk about how video games are villainized by the media, by, I don't want to say boomers. I hate seeing boomers versus millennials, but boomers do kind of villainize gaming sometimes, and not all of them. I know some of you commented on my Too Old for Gaming, and you are technically a boomer, so you're not the ones to blame. But I'm talking about like the boomer politicians who have never touched a video game, who are just looking for something to blame instead of actually saying, hey, parents, your kid messed up. It's kind of your fault for raising them that way. Instead of it's video game's fault, it's teacher's fault, it's whatever's fault, anything but the kid or but the parent, kind of thing like that. I'm always going to be an advocate against that kind of thinking, because generally speaking, if a kid's bad, they've learned it from home, and the parents need to, reflect and look inward and say, hey, maybe I messed up. Maybe I got to change my parenting technique, and my kid will learn to be more respectful, learn to be a better person, kind of thing like that. So generally speaking, our actions are of our own making. We either did it, or someone who is very influential on us kind of taught us the wrong thing. And sometimes we have to unlearn those things. Because I know some of my dad's, and I love my dad to death, some of my dad's parenting methods maybe weren't the best, and that maybe I thought were ways to parent when I was younger, but I had to kind of unlearn these things that I learned, because I'd like, you know what, that's not the way I want to parent. That's not the way I want to interact with my child, kind of thing like that. So as parents, we're always learning. As kids, we're always learning. As people, we should always be learning, and we should always be bettering ourselves. We should always, if a new technique that is better comes around, maybe we should give it a try instead of passing it off as some sort of newfangled dangled thing and just passing it by. We should always be learning. We should always be bettering ourselves and stuff. But thank you for watching if you made it this far. Again, I'm going to link the Too Old for Gaming video. Yeah, it's going to be about right here. It's going to be right here where my hand is. And subscribe should be, subscribe should be right up there. So if you're new here, please subscribe, please like. And you know what? I will catch you in the next video. Take care now. Bye.